Hello and welcome to this video where we are going to go over a topic that has been addressed to me by many test takers and is something that troubles many people in the exam. So that is regarding time, especially in the reading section. So in this video I'm going to give you some tips and some strategies that you can use so that you can better manage time and ensure that you complete all the questions in that time that is allocated to you. Now, for the most part, people who struggle with time in the reading section are people who generally do not have a reading habit, who are not into the habit of reading books or maybe articles or newspapers or anything really that has to do with reading English on a regular basis. So people who do not have that habit are more likely going to be struggling with time in the PTE exam. But let's look at what you can do to minimize the time impact and how you can do your best that you can in the time that is given. Now you get between 32 to 42 minutes to answer the reading section depending on the number of questions asked and the length of the passage. You can get between 32 to 42 minutes to answer the questions. Now you only know how much time you have once you sit in the exam and the reading section begins. So the first thing that you need to do once the reading section begins is to look at the timer and to look at how many questions are being asked. So once you get a sense of how much time you have, you can then work accordingly with the questions that have been given to you. So simply being aware of the time and keeping an eye on the timer all throughout the exam can help reduce instances where you're spending excessive time on a particular question. Sometimes what happens is that you get stuck on a question and you end up overthinking it, and by the time you know it, you spend 5 minutes on this one single question and you have no time to answer the remaining. So just by being aware of time and always keeping one eye on the timer, you can avoid instances like this where you're spending too much time on one question. Another tip that can help you is to read the multiple choice question passages only once as far as possible. Now what happens is, if you are reading the multiple choice question, the passage given in the multiple choice question multiple times, you're actually going to be looking at the passage, then looking at the question, then again going back to the passage and again going back to the question. So those things take up time and you'll end up spending more time instead of if you just read the passage once with full understanding and then maybe attempted the answer. So as far as possible in the MCQs part of the reading section, just try to read the passage once with complete understanding instead of going through the passage multiple times, because that can help you save the most time. What you also want to do is maybe identify the one or two question types which you are spending the maximum time in. So how you can do this is you can track the time you are taking to solve each question. So when during a practice session, you can actually take a timer and measure to see how much time are you spending in the multiple choice question, how much time are you spending in the reorder paragraphs, how much time are you spending in the fill in the blanks for each question. So doing this, you will get a sense of which area are you spending too much time in, and then you can take corrective actions to reduce the time in those sections. So giving a personal example, for me, initially I used to take a lot of time on the reorder paragraph. So then I noticed that okay, I'm spending too much time on this, over analyzing things and doing unnecessary stuff. So I then made a conscious effort to simply practice and reduce the amount of time I took to answer those questions. So simply by identifying the areas that you are spending more time on, you can reduce the time by taking those corrective actions. Now in this slide, I'm going to give you kind of a brief outline of how much time you should be spending on each section to do well. So I've given a breakdown per question type, how much time you should be spending on each question. So for the multiple choice choose single answer, you can spend 2 minutes for each question that you have been given. For the choose multiple answer, you can take a little longer, which is 2.5 minutes per question. For reorder paragraphs, 4 minutes is what I recommend you spending, because it can take slightly longer time to identify which paragraphs comes after the other. The fill in the blanks, for both the drag and drop and the list of choices, you can spend 1.5 minutes per question. So if you add up these questions and the average the time for each question that I've given and the average question you asked, you get a total of 32 minutes where you would have completed your answer. Now the key thing to remember in this is that if you maybe spend a little bit more time on, say, the multiple answer, you want to then work to compensate it and maybe spend less time in, say, the fill in the blanks. So you always want to be a little bit flexible, but this is a good guideline to keep in mind to ensure that you complete the reading section in time. A couple of other things that I've seen help students, or which students have come and told me that have helped them save time, is that one is that they spend less time on the fill in the blanks. Now fill in the blanks is a question in reading wherein more often than not you are not going to get the answer by over analyzing things. Either you know the answer or you do not know the answer. So by spending more time on the fill in the blanks, trying to over analyze stuff usually does not yield any better results. So this is a section where you may want to go with your instincts and select the correct answers as soon as possible, so that you have more time to maybe answer the other questions. So spending less time on fill in the blanks is another thing that you can try to ensure that you complete it on time. I think that's all that I wanted to cover regarding timing. Some additional content regarding improving your comprehension speed, because that is one of the key elements, especially in the multiple choice and the reorder paragraph. So comprehension speed is how quickly you understand passage of text. So you can do that by reading articles on a daily basis and going through good quality books. So the more that you immerse yourself in good quality English and a reading material on a consistent basis, the easier it will be for you to answer and understand the passages given to you in the exam. So you can check out sites like CNN, BBC, ScienceDaily.com is another good website where you have topics that are similar to the PTE. So you have articles on topics similar to the PTE on that website, ScienceDaily.com. So you can just read through these articles when you have the time and try to complete them in a relatively quick time, so that it just adds on to your practice that you're putting into the PTE as well. So that's it for this video. I hope you found the tips and strategies useful. Go ahead and try to practice them and implement them in the exam. And thanks for watching this video. I'll see you in the next tutorial.